Thanks for joining us for the Purdue CME Group Ag Economy Barometer results from the month of June. I'm Jim Mintert, Director of the Center for Commercial Agriculture at Purdue, and I'm going to review the results from this month's survey with you. Since we last surveyed farmers in mid-May, there's been a lot that's taken place. Farmers have experienced a challenging spring planting season. USDA has announced a second round of MFP payments for 2019, and President Trump signed a disaster aid bill. So let's take a look at the results. The Ag Economy Barometer did rebound this month to a reading of 126 from last month's low reading of 101. That 25-point rebound was driven really by improvements in farmers' perceptions of both current conditions and especially future expectations. If you look at the Future Expectation Index, it actually rose 33 points from May to June, whereas the Current Condition Index rose a more modest 13 points. In light of the experience that farmers have had, or challenges farmers have had with respect to planting this season, we chose to ask them how many of them expected to take a prevented planting payment from federal crop insurance. And 32% of the farmers in our survey indicated that they expected to take a prevented planting payment on their intended corn acres. We followed up with those folks and asked them how much of their corn acres they thought would be enrolled. And just over half of the people in our survey that expect to take a prevented planting payment said they would enroll more than 15% of their intended corn acres in the prevented planting program. Each month we ask farmers if now is a good time or a bad time to make large investments in their farming operation and use that to compute the Large Farm Investment Index. The index did rise this month to a reading of 42 from last month's 37. But that really was a pretty small increase, particularly when you compare it to the rise that we saw in the Future Expectations Index. So farmers remain cautious about making large investments in their farming operations. We also asked farmers about their perspective with respect to what was going to happen to farmland values in the area over the next 12 months. Last month, we'd seen a rise in the percentage of farmers expecting lower farmland values. That fell this month, so a reading of 22% expecting lower farmland values this month versus 30% last month. We also asked farmers about their perspective with respect to what was going to take place 5 years ahead, and we also saw an improvement in optimism there as well. The percentage of farmers expecting higher farmland values rose from 39% last month to 45% this month. So more optimism about farmland values, but not really spilling over into willingness to make large investments in their farming operation. Finally, we also followed up on the questions we've been asking about with respect to the trade dispute with China. Going back to March, we've been asking farmers whether or not they think it's likely or unlikely that the trade dispute with China will be settled soon. In March, April, and May, we asked specifically with respect to whether or not it would be settled by July 1. On this survey in June, we asked whether or not they expected it to be settled by September 1. And that percentage rose from a low of 20% last month to 32% this month, so a modest increase in expectations for the dispute to be resolved quickly. We also asked farmers whether or not they think the trade dispute with China will be resolved in a way that's beneficial to U.S. agriculture. We've been asking that consistently going back to March. And previously, the percentage expecting that dispute to be resolved favorably for agriculture had been declining. This month, there was a modest improvement. It rose to 69% versus 65% a month earlier. That wraps up our discussion of this month's Ag Barometer results. Our next report will be released on August 6th of 2019, and I encourage you to download the complete report where you can also obtain copies of the charts at purdue.edu/agbarometer. On behalf of the Center for Commercial Agriculture, I'm Jim Mintert.